Welcome back! Last time, we got Python all installed and ready to go. Today, we're cracking open the rulebook to understand how Python actually thinks. This is the bedrock for everything else we're going to do, so let's jump right in. So, you write a script. How does the computer actually process it? Does it just gulp it down all at once, or does it read it like a book? Let's start with this really fundamental idea called the flow of execution. You'll see it's a lot more intuitive than it sounds. Well, the answer is Python is a very methodical reader. It reads your code one line at a time, starting at the very top of the file and working its way down to the bottom. It doesn't skip ahead, it doesn't look back, it just goes in order. This little piece of code is a perfect example. First, Python hits line 1, a equals 10. It finds a spot in memory, labels it a, and sticks the number 10 inside. Only after that's totally done does it even look at the next line. Then it does the exact same thing for B. Finally, it gets to the print line, fetches those two values it just stored, adds them up, and shows you the result. One step at a time. Okay, so now we know how Python reads. Let's talk about the specific grammar rules it expects you to follow. Think of these as the non-negotiable laws of the Python universe. The very first rule is super simple, but it's absolutely critical. In Python, the case of your letters matters a lot. So, for example, if you create a variable called age, all in lowercase, and another one called age with a capital A, to Python, these have zero relation to each other. They are two completely different boxes that can hold two completely different things. All right, let's dive into the next one, because this is one of Python's most famous features, and it is absolutely mandatory. I'm talking about indentation. Instead of using brackets or keywords to group code, Python uses white space, spaces. The whole idea was to basically force people to write clean, readable code by making good style a part of the language itself. Take a look at this. In the correct code, that space before the word print isn't just for looks. That indentation is a command. It's telling Python that the print line belongs to the if statement above it. In the incorrect code, without that space, the program will just crash. It's structural, not decorative. Now, for some good news, especially if you're coming from another language, you do not need to put a semicolon at the end of every line. Nope, Python knows a line is over when you hit the Enter key. Keeping them out is the normal way to do things, and it just makes the code so much cleaner to look at. Okay, next up, how do you leave notes for yourself or for other programmers right inside the code? Well, we use things called comments. They're just notes for humans. Python completely ignores them when it runs the program. You've got two main ways to do this. For a quick little note, you just use the hash symbol. Anything on the line after that symbol is a comment. But if you need to write a whole paragraph, a much longer explanation, you can wrap your text in triple quotes, like you see here. All right, this next part is a little subtle, but it's a really important distinction to get. The code you write is basically made up of two types of things, statements and expressions. So here's the difference. A statement is like a complete sentence. It's an instruction that performs an action. X equals 10. That's a statement. It does something. An expression, on the other hand, is a piece of code that produces a value. X plus 5 is an expression. It doesn't do anything on its own. It just boils down to a single value. In this case, 15. When you put all these rules together, the indentation, the lack of semicolons, you start to see this bigger picture, right? There's a core philosophy in Python that code isn't just for computers. It's meant to be clean, organized, and super easy for other humans to read. And this is so much more than just good advice. It's a core principle. Using clear variable names and proper spacing is what makes your code professional. It makes it possible to work with other people, and trust me, it makes it way, way easier to fix things when they break. And speaking of things breaking, when you do break one of these grammar rules, Python will stop everything and give you a syntax error. Now, don't let that scare you. For beginners, it's almost always one of two things. You forgot the colon after a statement like if, or, you guessed it, the indentation is wrong. You will run into these, but now you'll know what to look for. So why did we just go through all this grammar? It might feel a bit like learning vocabulary, but I promise, mastering these rules right now has a massive payoff down the road. Seriously, this knowledge is your foundation. It's what will save you from hours of frustration trying to find bugs. It's what makes the more complex stuff, like object-oriented programming so much easier to understand. This is the difference between amateur and professional code. And yeah, you'd better believe this is stuff you'll need to know in a technical interview. So, now that you know the basic grammar of the language, you are ready for the fun part. In our next explainer, we're going to cover variables and data types. Think of them as the nouns, the numbers, and the adjectives that will actually let you start writing a real story with your code. See you there.